Today's art journal page is an experiment on color mixing. For this experiment, you're only going to need some tubes of watercolor, some paintbrushes, and your mixed media paper sketchbook. You can also use watercolor paper. So let's first take a look at the finished ones I have here. You can see that these are just simple leaf shapes, and I've gone ahead and colored them in with 2 different colors of watercolor. And then in the middle, we get our experiment, which is what happens when you put 2 colors together. So let's open it up to a page, and you can draw any sort of shapes to do this, but I like to draw, leaves are some of my favorite things to draw because they can be any shape. So you can lightly draw a couple leaf shapes. And let me turn the page where I have some already. And you can see on these that I've split the leaf down the center with my pencil as well. Now, I've gone ahead and put out some colors of paint on our palette, and the reason I'm using tube watercolors is because the color is actually so much more concentrated and brighter, so that's why I'm using tube watercolors. So we're going to start with our lighter color here, and I'm just mixing it a little bit, and you can mix it on a separate area of your palette, and then you're going to paint one side of your leaf with this super bright watercolor. And for this part, we're actually going to, I'll just keep adding and mixing water, but we're actually going to paint the center of the leaf as well. And I'm going to turn the page, and I have a nice even coat, and I've got a couple that I've been working on. I've got a red and a yellow here. So let's rinse out the brush entirely and add some blue to our yellow leaf down here. And it's really important when you're using water on paper to use a thick paper or a special watercolor paper so that your paper, when it gets wet and then dries, doesn't look all wavy and not so nice. So I've watered down some paint here, and we're gonna go ahead and paint this section with blue. And then I'm going to go over the top with a really watery blue to see if I can get some green. And there it comes. So when we do a wash, let's call it, over that yellow section, because watercolors are so transparent, we can see that when we put yellow and blue together, we get green. Let's see if we put a little bit more blue over our purple, or excuse me, let's see what happens when we put blue over our red section, what color we get. Sometimes you have to play around with how much water you need, so that's why I'm keep adding, and I want it to be a little bit brighter over here. And I'm just gonna fill it in. And you can see how I'm kind of twisting my brush to get edges. And let's paint the center and see, there it comes. So when we put blue over red, we get purple. But this is really fun because you can do all different colors, and then when you're done, you'll have something like this. And I like to go ahead and take a marker or an ink pen and give my leaves a little bit more definition. And we can add the stem. And we can even kind of doodle some centers here. You can kind of make some imaginary leaves. Add some polka dots. These are very decorative leaves. And what I did for my finished one here is outlined all my leaves, and then I cut them out and collaged them together to make one art journal page.